So after getting all this time to sort of sit back and digest what happened Monday night, what are you most proud of what you saw there on film and from wherever else you looked?
Just the resiliency and toughness of our guys. We learned a valuable lesson, and fortunately it didn't cost us a loss. We came out, I think, probably a little nerves the first game, guys knowing that they want to turn things around. But we got away from what we know leads to potential success. Didn't run much offense. We were lazy with our fundamentals, throwing the ball away, caused frustration defensively, not getting matched up. But we got them back together and focused at halftime, and then their response was incredible. And so we're going to watch film here in a little bit, and we'll make those points and remind them this is how we need to play each and every time out.
Was there one thing in the second half that you're like, this is really what changed the game?
Well, I think our focus and intensity defensively picked up. I think they went maybe 5 minutes without a score. And then offensively, we trusted it. We moved the ball, we executed, we screened, we got good shots, we knocked them down. But just the intensity and the focus to our plan is what we saw right away, and then what it led to. Got us back into the game, and then eventually closing it out for the win.
What did it mean to see a true freshman like Jordan Pope go out there and look really comfortable and facilitate a little bit, knock down a couple of threes, and then also operate a little bit around the basket? How was that?
Proud of him, because he's really been patient in learning that point guard position, trusting how he needs to get us organized, get us into what we're trying to run, and then find his opportunities to make plays, because he's a guy that really believes he can make a play every time. And he's been really diligent with that focus. And so to see him then, pop up and have the impact he had was huge. And we joked last week, he had a really good string of practices, and he said, we're finally seeing the guy we recruited, laughing. But he's been really good from the first day in trying to do things our way. We know what his strengths are. He's getting better at some of his weaknesses, and I'm really proud of him because he's got a great attitude and a great work ethic.
How beneficial is it to have some of those hiccups, in game one, some of those teaching moments?
Well, we said after the game, we really, it's easy to say afterwards when you get the win, couldn't have scripted it any better. We were able to send a message that, the individual side of things and not being focused has cost us, and we can't allow that to happen. I hadn't seen one glimpse of that team from the first half. We haven't shown any of that, kind of going off on our own deal. Lazy with our fundamentals. So it was good that they were able to correct it and then see what resulted because of it. And so I think that was a big early test. And you got to give Tulsa credit. I mean, I hope people understand the tradition of that program. And I know they have a new coach. He's going to do a great job. But they came in here swinging for the fences and knocked us on our butt. And we thought one of the strengths of this team was going to be, even though we're young, a tough, resilient group, and we got ourselves off the canvas and punched back and got the win. So I think that's very valuable.
Even though this is obviously a much different team than you guys had last year, that's something that people are always looking at is what you guys did last year.
Right.
How much do you even revisit that with this team? Do you even feel it's necessary to?
We haven't mentioned it a ton. Every once in a while. I mean, this group's been so good from day one of coming together and wanting to do what's right to get things going back in the right direction. But on occasion you might say, hey, that's the stuff that led to bad things in the past, but don't really talk about it all that much.
How important were your two bigs there in the second half on the defensive end? I know there was some foul trouble there in the first half. How good was it to get those guys out there a little bit more in the second half and have a little more control?
It was big, no pun intended. I mean, just the rim protection with Scholl. I mean, Edema. I think Pope had a block shot, and then Rod came with just that veteran play in the second half and was a man-child on the glass, and we needed that. And then he got us a big bucket late. So it's nice to know that we've got that combination, and even Casey Ebekwe, as we move forward and he gets comfortable, we feel like that's going to be a strength of ours, like years past when we've had Daniel Gomez and Drew Eubanks and Kyler Kelly. Protecting that rim's been big for us, and we hope that'll be the case again this season.
I know you probably said quite a bit at halftime to sort of light a fire under them a little bit. Did anyone else step up, any of the players?
Well, I heard from some of our support staff after the game. We always meet in the coaches' locker room for a few minutes before we go to the players. And we don't have anybody tattling, but just guys were saying, hey, the players were incredible before you guys got in there, just holding each other accountable, telling each other what went wrong in the first half, how they can correct it, but a very positive vibe. And then when we went in there and kind of polished it off for them, obviously they responded. So it was neat. We challenged Dexter and Glenn at halftime, to get back on page and be leaders like they're capable of being. And you say that, and Glenn's, we got to remind ourselves, only in year 2, and Dexter's a little more mature, but it's only his second year with us. And then Rodrigue, and to see the focus they brought out in the second half was great.
When you say that, is it more just lead by example, or do you want them out there being more vocal?
Well, Dexter's probably more vocal than Glenn, just by nature. He's been that way pretty much every day. I really think those guys put a lot of pressure on themselves to get Oregon State off to a great start. It wasn't because they're selfish guys, and they had to kind of remember that relying on everything that they've been working on and their teammates would put us in a better situation and set a better tone, and they did that, and we saw what it led to.
How encouraging is it to see, this team in game 1 make those, adjustments and come out in the second half and be able to bounce back?
Yeah, it was big. It was big because, everybody wanted to know what I thought, what we had, and they said, until we play a game, we really don't know. And we had the exhibition game and the scrimmage and all that, but until it counts for real, we thought we had a good idea. I remember telling a lot of my friends that are big supporters that they're going to love this group. They're going to appreciate how they play, how unselfish they are, how united they are, and how much grit and toughness they'll put out there, even though we're young. And so, the second half, I think, epitomized that. Now we just got to get them to try to do that as close to 40 minutes as we can.
It's obviously a quick season, but what have you sort of seen out of Florida A&M? What are you expecting them to bring Friday?
I know they have a lot of new guys. I think as many as 11 new players. I know that they had a tough one the other night, but a lot of new pieces they're trying to put together. But they've got some athletes, some real talent and skill. I think they're just trying to figure out what their identity is here early, which is no surprise with that amount of number of new guys. But Coach does a great job of firing them up. They'll pressure, they'll trap. So we've got to be ready for a real storm on Friday night. And the good thing is we've got a couple days to prepare here, learn a little bit from Monday's game, and then move forward as we get ready for Friday. But another big test for us and for our young team here early.
What are some of those things you saw in that second half that you need to see in this game to get another win?
I think, again, our intensity defensively, transition D on the glass, identifying shooters and not letting them get off like we did the other night, especially in the first half. And then offensively, trusting our stuff, man, and playing for each other out there. Ball movement, player movement, physical screens, inside out. Thought that was the difference in the game. Our guys bought into getting the ball to the rim, whether it was through post players or through penetration. It led to a lot of free throws in the second half. We didn't get in the bonus the first half. So our guys need to know we got to pound the ball at our opponents, and then that will really free up our perimeter game, which you saw. I think we were 5 for 5, our first 5 threes in the second half. So if we can do that from the jump and sustain it over 40, it'll be good for our guys to see what that leads to.
You guys have obviously had some time, but like you mentioned, it doesn't really matter much until those games actually count. About how long do you feel like it'll sort of take this team to really build that chemistry to where they know, each other's tendencies and things like that?
Well, I say we're young, but we're more experienced because of our trip to Italy. We got a few games in, a bunch of practices. So our guys are aware, but we've got a lot of guys that are playing Division I basketball for the first time. And we didn't use our bench as much as we know we will moving forward. Some of those young guys will get some more minutes. I think little nerves, their first time out. We were giving up some easy baskets and we shortened the bench in the second half. But we need games for those guys to get reps and to get those experiences. And then you got to remember we've got 2 guys sitting out, in Christian Wright and Justin Rochland, that we're going to have to kind of bring back into the fold as they get cleared, hopefully before too long. Hopefully Justin within the next few weeks, maybe Christian a little longer, but then those guys are going to have to ease their way in. Christian's got a little bit of a leg up because he was with us this summer, So it's going to be an evolving process. We know that. We know there's going to be some stumbles along the way, but as long as we stay together and stay focused, I know we'll get to where we need to go.